Hey, Rockets fans. Y'all didn't hear the news? I got good news for y'all. So I got great news. Rockets making moves. Rockets got they got Porter Jr., a young player who pretty much for nothing, to be honest. They traded away a second round pick. They just had to make things work, to be honest. But the Cavaliers are finalizing a trade to send Kevin Porter Jr. to the Rockets. Now, Kevin Porter Jr. has a lot of issues, specifically mental issues. Um, I haven't heard no specific stories on like why he's acting the way he's acting. I just know that we're getting a young stud. There's no guarantee that Kevin Porter Jr. will get himself together in Houston, but Rockets assistant coach John Lucas is among the best there is at helping young players with issues. Yeah, and John Lucas is great. Big John Lucas fan. He's great with young players. Terrence Williams trade. Okay, so we cut. Um, it's a steal if we can fix his issues. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you can never fix mental issues. I mean, that's just the truth. But you can maintain them and work with the player. Yeah, he can be a starter for real. I don't think Daniel House will be part of this rebuild mode that we're doing. I think he'll get traded at the deadline with a package. Now, I think it'll be multiple players that are going to get traded in the trade deadline. Now, the Rockets are going to go young. I mean, even taking a gamble on Porter Jr., this is not a move they will make if they had James Harden. They would not make a trade like this. But also, the Rockets are cutting Chris Clemens. He had that horrible injury in preseason, unfortunately. I know he's still in rehab. But I mean, this is great. I mean, you get rid of a bad contract. Yeah, it's a low risk, high reward. It is because he could become a starter. What he originally got traded for, he got traded for, from Milwaukee to Cleveland for 2 first round draft picks, kind of like Cousins, but Cousins is playing bad. This is a little different on this situation because um, Junior has a lot of growth. He has a lot of potential in the modern NBA. But yeah, I do agree with you. The Rockets are taking more gambles with this new coach, and I like their staff that they have. The coaching staff, they have John Lucas, they have Silas, and they have um, Jeff Hornacek. They have a lot of great leaders in that organization. But yeah, but let me know your thoughts. I mean, truly, I mean, man, I'm excited to be honest. I was actually sleeping when I found out the news. Let me know your thoughts. Let me see. Damn, I keep getting pop-ups. My girlfriend's computer. Starbucks. Come on. Victoria's Secret. uh, and we seem like we want to get that top four draft. Yeah, I think they are. Chad Cunningham, please. That's who I want. Chad Cunningham, man, can you imagine we traded James Harden? Now we have a chance to get Chad Cunningham. I mean, that's a realistic possibility, to be honest. Um, it's not. I mean, to be honest, it's not far fetched to think like that because this is a rebuilding team. I don't expect Eric Gordon to be on this team. Eric Gordon has been playing great, though. I mean, I think he's just picking up his value. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm gonna be honest. John Wall is just a rental. Eric Gordon, don't expect. Man, you know what? It's hard to see where this organization is going. Uh, the fact that I think once you draft a player like Cunningham, you had to clean house. John Wall will be a tradable piece. I don't know. He's on a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract, but I know he won't be here on his last year because it's easy to trade a player on his last year of his contract. Now, I like Gordon. I could see him as a player that sticks around. Maybe John Wall too. I just don't know where this organization is going, as in the fact that where they're going to keep these veteran players with big contracts. But this is a rebuild team. Now, can they stay competitive? I think so. But John Wall is iffy. He's very he's on minute restrictions already. He's already missing a lot of games. But like I said, with Kevin Porter Jr., man, I'm pretty hyped. I can't wait to see him play. I don't know when he'll play, but he's definitely going to be a great player on this team. I predict it. He has a lot of potential. I want to see his averages, what he averaged last year. Like I said, he's only in his sophomore season. Maybe am I overhyping in the fact that we got him? I swear, I'm really excited. I mean, you know, it's not every day the Rockets, make a gamble for a young player. That's the thing. It's unheard of. This is a new Rockets team. This is a whole new organization. He hasn't played this year, so far he left his team for 2 months with personal issues. Yeah, I mean, I know he hasn't played this year, but I kind of want to see his stats for last year, to be honest. Um, I know the Cavaliers actually have a lot of talent. They have a lot of young players. And I know Kevin Porter Jr. was one of them, like last year. But I mean, I wanted, he averages 10 points. That was for a rookie. So I think he'll be a starter. I think he takes Daniel House's spot automatically already. Daniel House, I don't really see the need for Daniel House. I'm excited. I'll be honest. Like, the Rockets need a lot of talent. That's just what it is. They need more ball handling. They need another player that could create his shot and his, because they have a lot of dogs on this team. The Rockets have a lot of dogs. They have a lot of players that are going to get in your face, play hard defense, and I like that. But you have to build around, something. You have Christian Wood. Yes, I love, but you can't ask Christian Wood to play defense, bring the ball up, and play offense. So I mean, that's asking too much for Christian Wood. He's going to get injured. As you already seen, he's already injured. So I already seen him get hurt twice already. And you don't want to put too much pressure on a player like that who is trying to prove himself. He's very hungry. But sometimes when I do something like trying to prove myself or trying to prove my coworkers, like I could do it. Like sometimes I go home and I'm exhausted. And can you ask me to do that 5-6 days out the week? Yeah, I can, but it's going to be wear and tear on the body. It's only common sense. But as of right now, I like Mason Jones. You know, he's a great role player. When do y'all see the Rockets, getting out of this rebuild? What do y'all think it's going to take? Now, I know somebody, Gonzalez said maybe, they get a Cunningham, but okay, say they get a Cunningham. Now, how fast will we get out this rebuild mode? Are you going to do a video with Anthony again? Oh, I know you asked about Anthony before. Anthony actually went MIA. He's gone. I really Don't really know what happened to him. I was looking for people to do videos with, and I think it struck him the wrong way. I never meant to be mean to him. I felt like he thought I was kind of blasting him because I went on Bleacher Report. I kind of wanted to expand my my team, and he got offended real bad. So that alone says, if you can't talk it out and you just want to block somebody like that, those weren't my intentions to ever offend him. I loved Anthony as a great co-host. So I do have a new co-host coming. He's also busy as well. Like I said, I was trying to build a team with guys who are capable of doing a lot, diverse, not one dimensional. Nobody wants to hear me talk all day. I mean, if you do, then hey, that's great. Subscribe. But I am forming a team behind the scenes. I'm getting things going. As of right now, I'm keeping the channel going. It was very unfortunate to lose Anthony. I wish him the best of luck. Like I told him, if he ever hears from me again, I will welcome him with open arms. I was, like you said, I know Anthony was great. But yeah, how long do y'all think this rebuild is going to take? Getting guys like, John Wall's veteran. He's such a great veteran leader. The big thing about this team, though, is the fact that, the players that we have now who have big contracts, they're injury prone players. And, you need to build young guys around those guys. So just in case if they do go down, I mean, the Rockets need another ball handler. They need a point guard. I mean, they haven't got a point guard and a backup point guard, legit solid backup point guard in a while. Austin Rivers was good. I'm not gonna lie, but he was mainly, like, in my opinion, he was a shooting guard. I think Mike D'Antoni didn't even use him right he did at times, but in the bubble he didn't at all. I'm sorry if you wanted to hear see Anthony again. I hope you didn't leave because I said that about Anthony. But like I said, I never said anything bad about Anthony. Maybe he'll come back one day. Like I said, I'll welcome him with open arms. But like I said, Kevin Porter Jr. is a part of the Rockets for pretty much nothing. Now, there are ways to get off of the team. Now, these are the ways. Pout, throw food at players, throw food at management, because that's what Kevin Porter did. He threw food at management. I'm not too sure. Was it the GM? That's just how things work nowadays. I'll take Johnson. I'm one of Anthony's friends. He's going through some personal stuff right now. He blocked a bunch of people. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I wish him the best. I mean, I love Anthony. I just, yeah, no, it's unfortunate. He didn't even tell me. All I said was I was looking for a co-host, and he put a sad face under that comment. So, I really don't know the direction of, where. I know he got school, and I was always trying to work with him. And, I even wanted to send him a laptop so we could get this show going. Like, I wanted him to be a part of it, the growth. And, I'm being honest, like I was going to send him a laptop for free. I just, I hope he's all right, to be honest, uh, I mean, that's how much I wanted him to be a part of this show. So I was willing to pay for an app and actually pay everything about that. The app is like $40 and let him use it for free too, to just be part of the show. But yeah, look, maybe Anthony will come back. He'll find his way back around, Like I said, he's still a part of this show, I guess. I hope he is. Devontae Johnson. Like I said, if you hear from him, just let me know, and we'll try to work things out. Like I said, nobody ever said nothing about Anthony, nothing bad. So let's just see But talking about the Rockets, you know, so I'll have a co-host tomorrow. His name is William Adams. He has been a part of this, the comments as before. So he's one of my new co-hosts. Like I said, if y'all do hear from Anthony, just let me know. Shoot him let him know. Like I said, I want him to be a part of this show. But I'm definitely excited about Kevin Porter Jr. and how he's going to fit for the Rockets. Look, the Rockets need help. That's just what it is. They need another ball handler, another player that could get his own shot. And, Nwaba is a great defensive player. He's better suited coming off the bench. He's a role player. Mason Jones is definitely a microwave type player. I don't really see the need for McLemore anymore. I just don't. I felt like he fit well with what James Harden was doing on the floor. Since James Harden's not here, he's not getting as many wide open shots. So I think it's best to try to trade. He has a great contract. So I think it's best to try to fight him, send him to a contending team that he will be best used as. So, I mean, y'all think of a team that's a championship team that could use a Ben McLemore. Is that Phoenix? I think Phoenix is pretty good from what I saw last night. They're probably missing one more shooter, to be honest. Maybe a few defensive guys. Is it Milwaukee? Is it a team in the East? Now, one team that does pop to my head that could use PJ Tucker and Ben McLemore is the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers are, Daryl Morey's team. So, Daryl Morey would love to have those guys. He loves shooters. He loves PJ Tucker, and he loves Ben McLemore. So, and I'm pretty sure the Rockets would love to give up Daniel House. Now, I just said three players that we could trade away. Now, is it going to happen? I'm pretty sure. Daniel House and PJ Tucker are not going to be part of this team. Now, Ben McLemore, I don't really see the need for him. You got a social or somewhere I can. Yeah, I do. I am on Bleacher Report. You could add me. I don't want to get too personal on YouTube, but yeah, you can. My Bleacher Report name is I forgot. I just got a new one because I got Bobby Brown. Yeah, the guy who beat his wife. It just came to my head, Bobby Brown. So that's my Bleacher Report. It's brand new because for some reason, every time I advertise my YouTube or a low-key message somebody through Messenger on Bleacher Report, I get reported. I don't know how. I don't even put my link up there no more. I just talk about my channel. I feel like low-key they are watching me. So I logged into my girlfriend's Google and made my own so they could stop watching me. But yeah, if you really want to message me, Bobby Brown is my Bleacher Report. And like I said, we'll love to have Anthony back or whoever, like I said, I'm really trying to grow my channel. I have William Adams, and I contacted one of my older friends. I reactivated one of my social medias, and I added one of my older friends, big Rockets fan. He knows the Rockets inside out. I've been watching the Rockets since I was 8 or 9. I'll be honest, sometimes when I was 8 years old, I didn't even know what I was watching. I just was like watching guys play, didn't even know what basketball really was. But, a year after I watched the game with my dad and I figure out, this is the team I want to root for. I love watching Steve Francis. So Cavs trading KPJ, I guess that's what they call him, all his initials to the Rockets. It's a done deal. Cavs are finalizing a deal to send. Yeah, finalizing. Still says finalizing. Well, I'm excited, to be honest. I'm for real. Rockets are getting some good news, This article says Porter has some serious mental off-the-court issues. He was accused of punching a woman in an argument in August. He didn't get charged, though. He was also arrested after police found a loaded handgun in his car. Oh, well, welcome to Texas. We'll embrace you with that. Oh, I got 5 guns like loaded in the car. Not really, but it's Texas, man. Come on, man. You can't walk around without a gun. Those charges were dropped as well. I think he got in trouble for having cocaine in his system as well. But this is 2021. I mean, cocaine is such an old man drug, but I mean, uh, you know, Kevin Porter might be from like no man's land. I mean, he might be over his head in the NBA, and that happens to a lot of players. Like um, players come from all. It's like the army, or like people come, young men come together with really don't know, eyes wide open, blind a little bit. They don't know what they're really getting themselves into. They know that they have to like perform at a high level, the pressure, the women, the et cetera, et cetera. So it's easy to get distracted for like a young kid, 19 or whatever. Even old dudes, NBA basketball players are still doing stupid shit. I mean, look at James Harden. He's in the fucking strip club. Dude's like 32 years old already. So I'm not going to blame Kevin Porter Jr. for doing some of the stuff he done. Now, can he fix that? That's the thing. The Rockets are going to have to work with him. I don't want to see him go down a dark hole. Like, I've seen a lot of young players go down dark holes. There are so many I can name. Sean Kemp was a player that got so used to drugs. Now he opened a weed fucking place in Seattle, I think. But there are so many young players who never get that opportunity because they blow it on drugs or just invested in the life, for real. It's not, especially in the 80s. I mean, there are so many stories. But once David Stern got invested into the NBA, he cleaned all that shit up. There wasn't no real the drug issue was dropped really hard. So David Stern really changed the NBA for the better. But I'm excited. I mean, this team, I expect Christian Wood, he won't play this game, but man, I'm excited. Kevin Porter Jr. for absolutely nothing. And you get rid of Chris Clemens' contract? Come on, man. I mean, maybe Gerald Green makes a comeback. I would love to see Joe Green on this team, his veteran leadership as well. I think he got a raw end of the stick. You know what I mean? He suffered a foot injury and overseas, and he was balling out too. So I know that year, it was last year, he had promised, like, I think he had a conversation with one of the Rockets, Bill Worrell or something, and Bill Worrell was talking about it at the game. He was saying that, oh yeah, like Joe Green says he wants to hit a career high threes that he's been practicing and working. And he had a clear dunk in that game. It was like a beautiful dunk. And he came back down, landed on his foot and broke it. And the Rockets traded him. And then he got waived. And the Rockets couldn't add him back once, the bubble had reoccurred, just due to the fact that he was a part of the team, got cut or traded, then got cut. I don't know. The rules were kind of iffy for Joe Green to come back on this team. But right now, there are so many opportunities for Gerald Green to come back on this team. The G League allowed every team in the NBA to have a 30-year-old player or older on their G League team. So if there was a COVID issue or injury, they were able to call that 30-year-old player up and put him on the team. Now, I've seen a lot of teams utilize that. It was I think Michael Beasley got picked up. There were a few other players that I can't really think of right now. The one that blew in LeBron's ear, I forget his name, Deshaun Stevenson. Yeah, he was one of the players that got picked up. And there was one more. But, yeah, there are a lot of players that got picked up who are 30 or plus years old. And I was looking forward for the Rockets to pick up at least Joe Green or somebody I mean, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't take advantage of that. That with that luxury to have that. Um, but like I said, Joe Green should make a comeback on this team just because one, he represents Houston. Two, he's always just balling out. I really thought he had a great preseason game, and then I find out he got cut. I don't really see the Rockets. I don't really see why DeMarcus Cousins is really a part of this team no more. He's not bringing what the Rockets need. That's rebounding and defense. Now he can bring that. He could be a great rebounder, but he's just not bringing that. So he's being very stubborn. He's forcing the game to come to him. Now I understand that DeMarcus Cousins was once at a high level, but he's just not no more. He's not. But he could do a lot of things to, actually help the Rockets, but he's not using those tools. So let me know what y'all think. How long of a rebuild would this be? 2 or 3 years? Is this still a playoff team? Is this still a playoff team, or is this just a bottom barrel team? My opinion, I haven't seen the full team out there yet. Daniel House, like I said, I don't think he'll be a part of this team no more. Michael Porter, Kevin Porter Jr. I said Michael Porter Jr. We got the wrong Porter. We got the wrong Porter Jr. So I really thought the Rockets were going to try to form a trade with Denver and a three-way team deal with Brooklyn. I really thought that. There was rumors that Brooklyn and Denver and the Rockets were in serious negotiations with James Harden. Now, I don't really necessarily know what happened, but it might not have been as many picks as the Rockets got, but they probably would have got a player like Michael Porter Jr., maybe a big fat contract like I don't know who Harris was a bad contract. I know they would have got one bad contract, and Brooklyn would have got James Harden, but I really don't see why Denver would. I don't see why it would get that serious if Brooklyn's not getting James Harden back. I really don't. Maybe they would have got Jared Allen, maybe somebody else. I don't know, LeVert, maybe some picks, PJ Tucker. I don't know. That helps them in the West. They're already a deep team. I really don't necessarily see why they would want to be a part of that team, that trade. So let me know your thoughts about Kevin Porter Jr. and if he's going to become a real serious player on this team. I know he'll be working alongside with John Lucas. And man, John Lucas has John Lucas is making his money for real, because one thing about John Lucas is that he's always trying to develop and help players stay on the right path. I'm pretty sure he has a hard job, but he really cares about the players. He really cares about young men. His son played in the NBA for a long time. His son got dunked on so bad by LeBron James. If y'all ever look it up, go look it up. LeBron James dunks over John Lucas Jr. He jumped over him in a real live game. So I'm reading that PJ Tucker had abdominal pain. I know that PJ Tucker has abdominals, his comfort. It's a possible strain, which why he didn't play down the stretch. Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, have we seen the last of PJ Tucker? No. I think he'll get traded at the deadline. Let me know if y'all want PJ Tucker here to stay for the rest of the year, or get a contract extension, or trade him. I think it's time to part ways. I love PJ Tucker. I love everything he done for the Rockets, but he's an older guy who's probably has a higher. He's probably has a high, maybe for a playoff team. A high radar for a playoff team. Like I said, I think that Denver could definitely use a guy like him, but I still see the Sixers who really wanted PJ Tucker in their trade. But I will have to trade Daniel House as well. Daniel House, I felt like he checked out on this team. I've been seeing that he's been making music while being at home or something like that, isolated. It said he doesn't necessarily have the COVID either. So all he said is on his report, I've seen he said he's isolated, self isolated, but he keeps putting out music. So I don't know. He said, and then it said he had a strained back or something like that, back spasm. So is Daniel House is have we seen the last of Daniel House? I can't even remember the last time he played. Um, had to be against like the Sacramento Kings, I think. I really can't remember, but he really wasn't playing well either. I like Daniel House. I think he's a very streaky player. Cavs are trading. Yeah, it's official. So welcome to the team. He just needs to get his act together. Like I said, if he's going to have a gun, the best place to have a gun is in Texas. If you don't have a gun in your car in Texas, then you're bound to have one. You must be. Look at James Harden. Is that James Harden right here, guys? Is that really him? Was that him last night? That can't be him. I just couldn't find your Bleacher Report. RIP. Oh, you couldn't find it? You could add me on Snapchat. It's no secret. I use my Snapchat for mainly business anyway. Adam Jr. 18, ADAM Jr. JR 18. Like I said, I haven't talked to Anthony in a while, so I wish him the best. I know he's still posting on Bleacher Report because I just created a new Bleacher Report. So, and I called him a lot. I actually called him a lot. So, if you say he's dealing with like mental issues or home issues, like I said, prayers up for Anthony because I just hope for the best. Y'all know Lonzo Ball is on the trading block. A lot. Lonzo Ball, right? Yeah, that's the one with the Pelicans. They're gonna trade him, but I don't necessarily know for what. He's okay. I think the hype was just too much for him. I don't. I really, really, really believe. Well, how can I really believe the Lakers? Finessed the Pelicans. They gave him a player who can shoot. He's a good passer, and he plays good defense. But he's just another point guard in the NBA. I don't ever see. He kind of reminds me of Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers came in the NBA. He had a lot of hype. And his dad was in the NBA as well. So not necessarily Doc Rivers and the father of the Balls is not Doc Rivers at all, but that hype is there. That have to keep up with that. I guess that hype. It's hard. I do, but Austin Rivers had a great career so far. Even with all the adversities, and I know a lot of people hated Austin Rivers for the longest, especially with the Clippers. But when he came to the Rockets, that really changed. That narrative changed for Austin Rivers because he was a great role player. He played his part really great. Wasn't never a real issue. He was a leader among the team. I know I listened to a station. It's Spotify. I listened to a sports rocket station, and there was a guy on there that said every time I had a question or every time I had a situation going on in the locker room or something like that, I always went to Austin Rivers. He was always very nice. He was always the leader of the team. So, that's who Austin, I felt his vibe. I felt like he didn't get enough playing time in the bubble. I didn't think that was really fair because Westbrook was definitely dog shit. I'm gonna say it. I never bashed Westbrook on this channel, but like I said, he went to Washington and he just hasn't been himself. He's averaging triple doubles now. That's himself. That's him. Devontae Johnson just added me, but yeah, hopefully Anthony, bounces back, for real, because um, just crazy what happened. And he just disappeared out of nowhere, like I said. But anyways, I know y'all want to hear about the Rockets, and Anthony was a big part of this show, though. But Kevin Porter Jr. I hope I don't say Michael Porter Jr. Sometimes I already have said it once in this show. But let me know what y'all think of how long the rebuild would take, what this signing means for the Rockets, and I'm excited. I really am to see some young blood out there. I can't really remember the Rockets last time they were this young, but they still got a lot of leaders on the team, so which is kind of weird. This reminds me of like the 2002 Rockets or like the 2003. Yeah, going way back. But I'll have another co-host, not necessarily a co-host. I'll have I'm gonna have somebody chime in on like the Rockets' history, and where they stand right now, and where the direction they are going. And I'll ask his opinion. He's not necessarily a co-host though. He's wet behind the ears. I really don't think he knows what he's getting into. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited to see. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting a message from somebody. But yeah, like I said, I'm really excited for the new chapter in the Rockets book. What's crazy? You know what's really crazy? So if the Rockets could get the maybe top pick this year or the next few years, and so they bring in a free agent, and then Christian Wood becomes even a better player, and let's just say that, and they start bringing in free agents or drafting well, and then James Harden finds his way back to Houston because he wins a championship, or it didn't work out in Brooklyn, and he finds himself back on the Rockets. Will y'all take him back with open arms, or would y'all be like, nah, like we're going another direction? I mean, how would you feel? I would feel like if they're young and he might actually. Like you want James Harden to finish his career in Houston. Yeah, he's a Houston Rockets all-time great. But the way he handled his business, I don't necessarily agree with it. That's not how you handle your business. Look, I could accept Kevin Porter Jr. because he's a young guy with a lot of mental issues. James Harden has no mental issues. There was a lot of selfishness involved. He didn't think the Rockets were a contending team no more. That was his opinion, being honest. I do agree with him in a sense, but like that's not how you go about it. Now, can the Rockets make some trades? Can the Rockets do this and that? Yeah, they could have. But why would they have to please James Harden all the time? That's what put the Rockets in such a big hole in the first place. We lost all our picks. Well, I mean, we were stuck with Westbrook. Now we're stuck with John Wall because of James Harden. Like, not necessarily. We will be stuck with Westbrook right now if we didn't find a trade partner for him. Now we got John Wall, and we're stuck with John Wall because of James Harden, all the decisions that he had made, and that's just the truth. And John Wall is one of the worst contracts in the NBA, but I'd rather have John Wall over Westbrook any freaking day of the week. I promise to God, because Westbrook is just, he would get hit on this team. He would get his, and then that's it. Like, I don't necessarily see them winning still. Like with John Wall, that's why I said we still have the possibility to be a middle of the pack team, maybe even trying to find our way inside of the tournament at the end of the year to try to sneak into the playoffs. I don't really see why the Rockets would want to make the playoffs because it doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather try to tank than actually try to compete for a playoff spot. Because if the Rockets made it to the playoffs, they're going to get swept in the first round. I promise you. It's not the West is just too strong for the Rockets. The Lakers showed us that, with James Harden, they stumped on us. And yeah, I know there was a lot going on behind the scenes and played a big factor on why the Rockets quit. But like I said, Oh man. So yeah, I mean, let's just see. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought because somebody messaged me. But like I said, there's a lot going on with the Rockets organization. But if James Harden happens to find his way back, um, I wouldn't be mad. I hope he takes a smaller role, though. I mean, why would you want to start him if you have a young nucleus already? This guy is not LeBron James. He's not. I mean, but he is an all-time Rockets great. If he was willing to take a smaller role, not necessarily saying, "Oh, take a back seat" or anything, but just a smaller role, like a six man. Especially if he wins a championship, I don't see him. He reminds me more of Allen Iverson. Like, Iverson didn't want to come off the bench at the end of his career with Memphis. He was so stubborn. He's like, I'll retire. Like, I'll quit. Like, trade me or I'll quit. Like, so that's what happened. But I don't necessarily see James Harden really wanting to take a back seat to come to Houston. I think if he came back to Houston, he's going to want to start. He's going to want to. It just matters how good that team is and if he really wants to be a part of the new Rockets. Now, I do think James Harden will be back. I promise. I promise. Mark my words. He will be back. Especially if the Rockets have a lot of number one draft picks like that hit. He's gonna try. He's gonna pull LeBron James. Now, if he wins the championship, does he stay in Brooklyn? Now, that's a possibility too. I mean, I don't really know his relationship with Tillman. Last I heard that the Rockets and James Harden ended their relationship on good terms. They sent him where he wanted to go. Now, maybe that kind of like makes him come back, but I'm really focused on the future of this team. James Harden is the past. It's time to start going young and start rebuilding. You know what I said? I don't necessarily want the Rockets to wait for James Harden and hope that he comes back, because by the time he does come back, he'll be like 33 or 34 years old. I think he's had 3 years on his contract, and his third year is a player option, so he could opt out and become a free agent. Um, but like I said, I wouldn't. If I was the Rockets, I wouldn't even wait for him. I would just keep doing what Cleveland did. They moved on from LeBron, and he decided to come back when they had Kyrie, when Tristan Thompson was relevant, and Dion Waiters, and they had Anthony Bennett. Y'all know him. Definitely one of the biggest busts in the NBA. Now, that wasn't his fault. That was Cleveland's fault, drafting him. That I don't necessarily know why Cleveland drafted Anthony Bennett. Sometimes, LeBron James probably, didn't help his situation. He's a young player who, is on a bad team. Then LeBron James comes. I don't think he necessarily got the patience from the Cavaliers organization to really, bear with his growth. And he never got a good deal. I think, he played good in Brooklyn. I know he was with Brooklyn. He played really good. He was with a multiple team. He was in the G League. He was with the Rockets, but he was with the Rockets last year. But he never got to see. He got injured in a practice, I think. So I never got to see him with the Rockets in preseason as well. So those two players that got injured before the season even started that we didn't get to see was Gerald Green, who looked great in preseason, and Anthony Bennett, which I heard a lot of promise from. Like, he was playing well, he was doing really good. His jump shot was there, but it's some things just happen. Like maybe he wasn't destined to be in the NBA. Yeah, so I hope Kevin Porter Jr. balls out for the Rockets. Seriously, I just wanted to make this quick video just to let y'all know, the Rockets are going a new route. Expect Daniel House to get traded soon. I promise you. I don't expect him on this team that much longer. That's just my opinion, but I see the writing on the wall. Especially with the arrival Kevin Porter Jr. And thank God that not Chris Clemens, the player, that his contract got taken off the books. Now we actually have more roster spots and a viable player that can contribute to this team. Now, I think Kevin Porter Jr. can go out and ball whenever. He doesn't necessarily need time. Now, it's just the mental aspect of the game for him. Now, can he keep his mental issues off the court and at home? Not necessarily at home. Like, you don't. He's a young guy who's going to have issues. Now, you could carry that into an organization. Now, are the Rockets willing? Because Rockets had issues with a player before, Royce White. I don't necessarily know if y'all remember him. Royce White had a lot of anxiety, Now, I've met people with a lot of anxiety. I know they're very uncomfortable at times for multiple reasons. And some are, you can't really wrap your head around it. So I think the Rockets were very impatient with Royce White. Now, I think Royce White was a great player for the Rockets. Now, the Rockets were still really young. They had just got James Harden too, and Royce White was supposed to be a part of the rebuild. He was supposed to be like a Draymond Green, but better version. I promise you, this is the truth. Royce White was a better version of Draymond Green. But, the anxiety in his career, he played a little bit in the 3-on-3 Ice Cube League, and he was one of the best players in that league. So, I know Royce White is a legit baller, but, the Rockets are going to have to be patient, and they can't, in my words, they can't mess this up again. I was going to say a bad word, but they can't mess this up again because history happens to repeat itself. Like I said, I use this analogy as well with Brooklyn. Brooklyn traded with Boston a few years back. They traded a lot of picks and it backfired on them. And obviously they done it again with Houston. Now they might win a championship. They have James Harden, KD, Kyrie Irving. Not necessarily a lot of young players, but a win now team. That's what they had in the past, and it backfired on them in the past. But does history have a chance to repeat itself? Now, if Brooklyn wins a championship this year, then okay, that's great. Now, are they going to keep competing for a championship maybe next year, the following year? But they have a short window, and the Rockets own a lot of their draft capital. Like I said, history happens to repeat itself. Now, I hope the Rockets learn from this Royce White situation, and they didn't have John Lucas on the team. Now, it's hard to have a John Lucas on the team. If you have a John Lucas on the team, you're already winning with young players. I promise you. If you have a John Lucas, now John Lucas was a strong candidate to be the coach of the Rockets. Westbrook and James Harden were pulling for them. But obviously, James Harden and Westbrook really had their own plans. I think they just wanted John Lucas to get the job, and they were going to dip out. That's my opinion. And that's what they did to Silas. And Silas was so blinded by it. Like I said, history happens to repeat itself. This is what I think Brooklyn's going to do. I think Brooklyn automatically is going to get into the playoffs. I think they're going to have a lot of defensive issues. Joe Harris is becoming their defensive player. Now, Joe Harris, if y'all haven't seen Joe Harris, he's god awful on defense, but he has become their number one defensive stopper on the perimeter. Now, he's awful. He's awful. But they're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to make some noise. They have the chance to make it to the NBA Finals. Now, that's strictly on how they play defense. Now, I'm not penciling them in at all. Like, I know Milwaukee is still a strong candidate. I know Philadelphia is still there. And Boston is the team, in my opinion, that can knock off the Philadelphia 70s, Brooklyn, that can knock off Brooklyn. Now, Joel Embiid could take advantage of Jordan. But, I still think Boston is the team that could give a run to Brooklyn for their money. But like I said, even if Brooklyn makes it to the finals, I do not see them beating the Lakers. The Lakers are such a well-rounded team, and they could keep up with them offensively. The Lakers could keep up with Brooklyn. So I really still see the Lakers winning the finals no matter who they match up against. They still have a great LeBron James player. He's still a top player. He'll probably finish top 5 in the MVPs this year. Anthony Davis, top 5 player. Montrezl Harrell off the bench. They have Schroeder. They're so talented. So, in my opinion, the Lakers are penciled in as the NBA champions. That's just my opinion until they prove me wrong. They're the champs. Till I see further notice, that's just my opinion. So I'm going to end it here. Like I said, I started this channel, this little live video, so I could tell y'all that the great news that the Rockets are getting a young player that might excel. You know what? If he becomes a great player, more than a role player, then, man, that's great. That means the Rockets coaching staff definitely coached up Kevin Porter and led him to the right direction and not necessarily allowed him to, find the bottle or find the drugs necessarily, because, it's all about getting better and growing and being a part of something great. And I think he made it to the right organization for that. I truly do. I think Kevin Porter Jr. could really get a long career out of Houston. It's just on him, and the patience of the organization. I think you have to be very patient. Like I said, I'm going to end it here. Thank y'all for tuning in. And like I said, I can't wait to see Kevin Porter Jr. out there performing for the Houston Rockets. Like I said, it's a steal in my opinion. You just got away with highway robbery now. And like I said, the ceiling is high. The floor is very low. I mean, who cares? I just want to see this man succeed and, really not, find his way out the league. Now, that's on him, though, and that's on the organization as well. So they really have to help this man get his life together. So thank y'all for tuning in. I'll have a co-host tomorrow, one of my good friends that I've been chatting with for a while. And then maybe on the weekend, I'll have one of my older friends just talking about Rockets and where the state of the NBA has gone from in the past 10 to 20 years and how the game has evolved from a defensive game to an offensive game, and about maybe LeBron James being in all those little decades and how he's evolved into a different player as well, even James Harden as well too. So thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, I'll have about 3 videos tomorrow because it's my day off. I have like maybe 4, I promise, because I'm gonna put in some fucking work tomorrow. I love this. I love doing this. I love being here. Like I said, let's hope for Anthony to come back as well. Like I said, I'm just growing with more people to introduce with y'all and engage with y'all. So thank y'all. I'm gonna get some sleep, and like I said, I have a busy day tomorrow. And go Rockets and go Kevin Porter Jr.